If you've ever wished for a smarter, faster way to make sense of messy data, you are not alone. In this video, we'll explore a framework I absolutely love. I saw this first on Jeff Zoo's YouTube channel. So shout out to Jeff. It is called DIG. D for description, I for introspection, and G for goal setting. It is not just an acronym, it is a powerful mindset you can bring to any data set, especially when you've got tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot by your side. But before we start, here is a quick word on data safety. Make sure that you check your company's data policy before you start pumping your data into all these large language models. But if your company is looking at, using a tool like ChatGPT, maybe they can consider ChatGPT Enterprise. And if you're using Microsoft solution, you've got your data in M365 and you're using Copilot, you're home and dry, you're cool to go. So why use Dig? Dig is a framework that can help you understand data you've never seen before in minutes, not hours. It helps you to extract insights you might have missed, and it also helps you to use AI tools more intentionally and effectively. So, we are starting with the first one, description. We want to let AI walk us through the data. So, I'm going to add a file here. I have a data set that I want to work with. It's about electric vehicles, as a 2025 survey about electric vehicles. So I'm throwing in the first prompt under the description. And what is this? List all the columns in the data set and show me a sample data from each column. Present this in a table format, act like I'm new to this file and need a fast overview of what each column contains. This is the first prompt we're using. So this will force ChatGPT or any of the large language model to actually look at every single column in our data set and can then give us a quick overview of the data you're working with. That is the essence of this first prompt to tell us, or these are the columns that we have in the data set: brand, this is sample data; model, this is the sample data, so that we can, get a sense of the kind of data set that we're working with. But one sample is not enough. One sample might mislead you. So we go to the next prompt. The next prompt, I want my ChatGPT this time around to give us more examples. So I say, take 5 more random samples of data for each column to make sure you understand the format and type of information in each column. Exclude columns with only one unique value. Let me know if there is any pattern or inconsistencies, that stand out here. This second one will help us to look for outliers or misleading data values in our data set. Multiple samples help you spot inconsistencies. Instead of just running with the first one, that is just a sample, we want it to show us more for us to see what is going on in there. So you see what it's doing now. We now have 5 samples: sample one, sample two, sample three. Let me expand this: sample three, sample four, and sample five. So we can look at it more critically and say, okay, so these are the things that we have in here. So you can go through it and spot, inconsistencies. You can spot outliers. You want to check and be sure that everything is how it's supposed to be. Okay. All right. So that is my second prompt. Let's go back to the third prompt. My third prompt now, still under description, I say run a data quality check on each column. Specifically look for missing values, null or empty values. Give me the counts and percentages. Unexpected format or data type, outliers or suspicious values. Present your results clearly in a table and explain anything that looks strange or might affect the analysis. So this is the third prompt. What will this do for us? This will force ChatGPT to tell us if there is anything weird about the data that we should know about before proceeding with our analysis. So this will now tell us, or AI will call them out, and you begin to see the story behind, the data sets. What's clean, what's broken, and what might throw you off your entire analysis if you're not careful. So it's done the data quality check here now. Let me expand this now. It's saying, okay, number of cell column standards 42, 42% missing value. Wow, that's a significant gap. Then the top speed has few outliers. Since it's speed in kilometers per hour, anything usually high or low might need review. So it's going through the data set for me to, better understand if there are outliers there. Remember, if you are to do this yourself, you will need to run through the data set, or maybe you want to use Power Query Editor and some other things to be able to help you figure this out. But AI can help you do this in a short period of time. Okay, so after we're done doing the description, you've taken note of all the inconsistencies, you found a way of fixing them. ChatGPT can even help you with fixing all those missing values if you are to use median, or you need to use mode, or there are other things that could be used to fix all that. That's description. So we'll move to the second stage, and that is introspection. For introspection, we want AI, to brainstorm questions it could answer using your data. So this time around, you want to tell ChatGPT or any of the large language models, what are the things that I should, pay attention to in this data set? Introspection. And I have one prompt on that here. And the prompt says, tell me 10 interesting questions we could answer with this data set and explain why each will be valuable. Think like a data analyst trying to impress a business team. Make the questions practical and insight driven. This is introspection. I want it to, tell me interesting questions to look for. I don't want to start from ground zero. I want it to, give me a kind of a lift, tell me what I should pay attention to. Why are we writing this prompt now? To get the sample questions it can ask, and it will give you questions. You can rate the questions. If you have good questions, that means the AI has kind of gone through your data and it understands your data. But bad question means you still need to go back and do some fixing so that it can understand your question better. So let's look at the questions. They say, which brands offer the highest battery capacity? That's cool. Are there clusters of models based on speed, battery capacity? Do some brands consistently appear in the top rate? So it's given me 10 questions for me to just say, okay, these are the kind of questions I can consider when I'm trying to analyze my data. Then I'm moving on to the second prompt, still under introspection. This says, for the first three questions, tell me exactly which columns you will need to use and whether the current data is sufficient to answer them. I don't just want to run with the questions given. This will now look for gaps in the data set and helps us manage our clients' or bosses' expectations about what insight we can truly uncover. So that I'm not just saying, oh, I'm on a wild good chase and I'm trying to look for things that my data set has not been empowered to kind of show me. So this will work us through it and tell us what's possible. Remember, I said the first three, I can extend it to the questions that I really want to dig deep on. So it's telling me, oh, which brands offer the highest battery, required columns. Okay, these are the required columns. Then to answer this, it's adding more context, how to go about this. Are there cluster models? Yes, the required columns are there. And then I can say, oh, I think we can actually do all this when we're trying to analyze the data. That is introspection, telling us what's possible. And then the last part is the G, goal setting. For the goal setting, you want AI to focus on what matters most from your objectives. This varies. It depends on what you're trying to get out of the data set. You must have sat with your boss, your supervisor, your client, whoever is in charge of the data set that needs to make certain decision based off your analysis. So you want to get their business context, you want to get their pain point, you want to know what they are truly interested in. Then you can write your prompt. For example, I say, my goal is to understand. You put your goal here, maybe concerning this data, the best brand, okay, to buy and maintain. Okay, this is what I want. Given this goal, which aspect of data should we focus on? Which columns are most relevant and what kind of analysis should we prioritize explain your reasoning. With this now, I want to um, ask AI to help me prioritize what is useful, so that when I'm kind of digging deep here, I want to see, are these the important things that I should focus on, and then add others as kind of bonus in my analysis, or maybe call the attention of my superior to other things that I can uncover in the data set. So this is saying, what does best to buy and maintain actually mean? It's asking me question now. This usually include high battery, reasonable. Okay, okay. These are practical ways of using AI as a data analyst. So you're not just guessing this time around, you are still saying, you know what, I want to use you as my co-pilot, as my assistant, as a data analyst. Yes, you still use your skill, you still use all your tools, Power BI, Tableau, Python and all that, but you want to leverage AI to be able to kind of give you a lift and give you somewhere to start. And finally, as I hand it here now, there is a bonus prompt here that says, what are the key questions someone reading my analysis would ask? And how should we proactively address them? Think like a stakeholder reviewing this report. Suggest what part I should clarify and defend in advance. This will help you, to prepare for potential blind spots and help you deliver a stronger final analysis. Maybe you've done everything right, but you are like second guessing. What if somebody somewhere will just pop up a question at the stakeholders meeting and say, okay, what about this? So that prompt can take care of that, can tell you, okay, these are the other things that you can actually, prepare for when you're kind of defending your analysis. So these are ways we can use these tools practically and help ourselves to be able to do more. So you have it. There you have it, the DIG framework: description, introspection, goal setting. With just a few prompts, you turn your AI into your thinking partner: faster analysis, smarter questions, clearer direction. So if this sparked an idea for you, you can hit that follow button or like button, and then we'll continue to dish out this kind of content as we move forward. So drop your questions, your data set challenges in the comments. Maybe I'd love to help. So see you next time.